Hello, friends. Somewhere in Mandurah, Western Australia, a couple named Barry and Christine are sitting at their kitchen table going through a stack of medical bills. They've done everything right. They worked for 40 years, they saved, they paid off their home, they built a modest superannuation balance so they wouldn't be a burden on the system. And because of that, they assumed the system had nothing left for them. That single assumption has already cost them over $1,800 this year alone. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Barry and Christine aren't unusual. Right now, in 2026, there is an estimated 200,000 self-funded retirees across this country making the exact same mistake. Not because they're careless, not because they're uninformed in general, but because the system was never built to tell you what you're owed. It was built to wait, quietly, until you ask. Today, we're going to open the file on 5 specific benefits sitting inside Centrelink and the Department of Veterans Affairs right now in 2026 that most seniors either don't know exist or wrongly believe they don't qualify for. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which numbers apply to you, exactly which forms to fill out, and exactly why the date, the 20th of September, 2026, matters more than almost anyone realizes. Let's begin the investigation. Here is the myth we need to destroy in the first 60 seconds, because if we don't destroy it now, nothing else in this video will make sense to you. The myth is this: if you own your home, or if you've got a healthy super balance, Centrelink has nothing for you. For years, that myth held some truth. But as of the 1st of July 2026, it is officially, provably false. On the 20th of March 2026, the base pension rates were indexed upward. A single pensioner's maximum rate, including supplements, now sits at $1,200.90 per fortnight. That's just over $31,200 a year. For couples combined, the figure climbs to $1,810.40 per fortnight, just over $47,000 annually. But that's not the story. Almost every retiree already half knows those base figures. What almost nobody has been told, what the big finance channels have quietly skipped over, is what happened 3 months later, on the 1st of July 2026. That's when the government expanded the lower income and asset-free areas. In plain English, the amount of money and assets you're allowed to hold before your pension starts getting reduced went up, significantly up. The Treasury's own estimate suggests this single change alone pulled an extra 2.5 million part pensioners into a higher payment bracket, many of whom had no idea it happened, because nobody sends you a letter saying, hey, you can keep more now. That's trap number 1, and we'll come back to it. But first, let's follow the money through 5 specific channels. The first benefit is the one hiding in plain sight, the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. Here's why almost every self-funded retiree in Australia dismisses this card without a second thought. The name sounds means-tested into oblivion, and most people assume their assets automatically disqualify them. Except the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card has no asset test. None. Zero. It doesn't matter if your house is paid off, if you own an investment property, if you've got shares sitting in a portfolio. The only thing that matters is your income. And as of the 20th of March 2026, that threshold jumped to $101,105 a year for a single person. For couples combined, it's a staggering $161,768. Sit with that for a second. A couple earning a combined income of over $160,000 a year can still walk away with this card. What does the card actually get you? Cheaper prescription medications under the PBS, bulk billed doctor visits in many practices, and this is the part that connects to our next reveal: eligibility for a quarterly energy supplement worth $92.66 every 3 months for a single cardholder, assuming grandfathered rules apply. Christine, from our opening story, has been paying full price for her thyroid medication for over a year. Full price, because nobody told her the threshold had moved, because she assumed the old rules, the ones from years ago, still applied. They don't. And if you're watching this thinking, surely I'd know if I qualified, that's exactly what 200,000 other Australians thought too. Here's where the suspense deepens, because this next benefit involves a silent assumption that is actively draining money out of pensioners' pockets every single fortnight. Rent assistance. For a single retiree paying rent or village fees, the maximum payment sits at $219.40 per fortnight. For couples, it's $206.80 combined. Annualized, that's over $5,700 a year for a single pensioner, money that simply does not arrive unless you take one specific action. And this is the trap. Most people believe Centrelink automatically updates their rent details. It does not. If your rent increases, even by $50 a month, and you don't manually lodge a fresh rent certificate, Form SU523, through myGov, you are locked into your old, lower assistance rate, or worse, receiving nothing at all if you never lodged one in the first place. Think about how quietly that money disappears. No warning, no red flag, no phone call. Just a fortnightly payment that is smaller than it should legally be, month after month, year after year, while the retiree assumes the system is doing its job. It isn't. The system is reactive, not proactive. It will not chase you down to hand you money you're entitled to. You have to chase it. Now we arrive at the part of this investigation that even seasoned retirees get wrong. And it's not because they're bad with money. It's because the government changed the rules of the math without changing the headlines. This is called deeming. And if you have any money sitting in savings, term deposits, shares, or managed funds, this section directly affects your pension. Centrelink doesn't look at what your investments actually earn. Instead, it assumes or deems that your money is earning a fixed rate of return, whether it actually is or not. As of the 2026 updates, the lower deeming rate is 1.25%, and the upper rate is 3.25%. Here's the twist that almost nobody outside financial planning circles knows. As of the 1st of July 2026, the threshold for where the lower rate applies was expanded. For singles, the low rate now applies to financial assets up to $66,800. For couples combined, it's $110,600. Anything above those figures gets deemed at the higher 3.25% rate. Why does this matter so much? Because under the pension taper rate, every $1,000 you're sitting under the asset limit can boost your fortnightly pension by roughly $3. It sounds small until you realize thousands of retirees haven't updated their asset values on myGov in years, meaning if their shares dropped in value, or their car depreciated, or an old term deposit matured into cash, they are quite possibly locked into a lower pension payment than they're legally entitled to receive right now today while you're watching this. The system does not correct this for you. You have to log in. You have to update the numbers yourself. Here's a benefit that feels almost like a secret, because so few pensioners are ever told about it at the moment they actually need it. It's called the pension advance payment. If you're on the age pension and you hit an unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, a broken hot water system, you can request an advance of up to $1,710.30 as a single pensioner, paid as a lump sum up front. The catch, and it's a fair one, is that it's not free money. It's an advance against your future payments, repaid automatically over 13 fortnights. But here is why this matters in an investigative sense. Retirees under financial stress often turn to high-interest credit cards or buy now, pay later schemes for exactly this kind of emergency without knowing an interest-free government-backed option was sitting inside their own Centrelink account the entire time. Nobody advertises this. There's no ad campaign. It sits quietly inside the myGov portal, waiting for someone to stumble across it, usually after they've already gone into debt another way. And now the piece of this investigation that should genuinely concern anyone planning to travel overseas in the back half of this year. Right now, current rules allow a pension supplement to continue at a reduced rate indefinitely while a pensioner is traveling or living overseas. But starting on the 20th of September, 2026, a date that is closing in fast, that entire structure changes. Under the new rule, the full pension supplement rate will be extended for overseas travel, up from 6 weeks to 12 weeks. That part sounds generous. But here's the sting. After those 12 weeks expire, the supplement doesn't drop to a reduced rate anymore. It drops to nil, completely. The old permanent lower rate safety net some retirees have quietly relied on for years is being closed off entirely. If you're a retiree planning an extended trip to visit family overseas or considering a long stay in a warmer climate for winter, this single date, the 20th of September, 2026, could mean the difference between receiving ongoing supplement payments and receiving nothing at all after week 12. This is not a rumour. This is a confirmed budget policy change already published by Services Australia, and almost no one outside a handful of specialist retirement advisors is talking about it publicly yet. So let's step back and ask the uncomfortable question this entire investigation points toward. Why does this keep happening? Why do hundreds of thousands of Australians who worked, saved, and paid taxes for decades end up leaving thousands of dollars a year unclaimed? It's not incompetence, it's not laziness, it's structural. The Australian benefits system, like most government systems, operates on a claim-based model, not a notification-based model. Thresholds move, rates index, rules quietly update in policy documents that almost nobody reads outside of Canberra. And unless you are the one logging into myGov, updating your figures and lodging the correct form, the system simply doesn't tell you. Barry and Christine, sitting at that kitchen table, aren't victims of fraud or negligence. They're victims of silence. The silence of a system that assumes if you don't ask, you don't need it. And here's what makes this even more unsettling. The finance channels that are supposed to be warning you about this are missing half the picture too. We looked closely at the most viewed videos currently circulating on this exact topic. One video, watched by 45,000 people, correctly explained the new base payment rate of $1,200.90, but never once mentioned the July asset threshold expansion. Another, viewed by 88,000 people, covered secret Centrelink cards, but skipped the deeming rate changes entirely. A third focused entirely on the asset test cutoffs and completely missed the September overseas travel trap we just walked through. In other words, even the people trying to help you are only telling you half the story, which means the responsibility uncomfortably falls back on you. The person watching this video right now at your own kitchen table wondering if any of this actually applies to your situation. It does. And here is exactly how to find out. Here is exactly what to do this week in order. Number 1, log into myGov and check your income against the new Commonwealth Seniors Health Card thresholds. $101,000, $105 for singles, $161,768 combined for couples. If you're under that line and don't have the card, apply using Form SA 466 immediately. Number 2, if you rent or pay village fees and haven't submitted an updated rent certificate, Form SU 523 recently, do it now. Every month you wait is money you cannot claim retroactively in full. Number 3, update your asset values on myGov, particularly if shares, savings, or vehicle values have dropped. Even a small update could shift your fortnightly payment under the new deeming thresholds. Number 4, if you're facing an unexpected cost, check your pension advance payment eligibility before reaching for a credit card. And number 5, if overseas travel is anywhere in your plans for later this year, mark the 20th of September 2026 on your calendar and plan your trip length around the new 12-week rule before that supplement disappears entirely. None of these 5 things require a lawyer. None of them require a financial advisor. They require about 20 minutes on myGov and the willingness to ask a system that has been quietly waiting for you to ask. If you want official confirmation of anything we've covered here, don't take my word for it. Call the Services Australia Older Australians line directly on 132 300, Monday to Friday, 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon local time. If something doesn't add up or you feel you've been given the wrong information, the feedback and complaints line is 1-800-132-468. Every figure in this investigation has been cross-checked against Services Australia, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Super Guide, and Retirement Essentials. So when you call, you'll be asking about numbers that are already confirmed, not guessing in the dark. Barry and Christine finally sat down last week and went through every one of these 5 steps. Christine's medication costs dropped within a fortnight of the CSHC application going through. Their rent certificate is being processed as we speak. And for the first time in longer than they can remember, they checked their asset figures on myGov themselves instead of assuming the numbers from years ago still applied. They didn't get lucky. They just stopped assuming and started asking. Somewhere tonight, there is another retired couple sitting at their own kitchen table looking at the same stack of bills Barry and Christine once stared at, never realizing that $1,800 or $5,000 or more has been sitting just out of reach the entire time, waiting behind a single form, a single phone call, a single login. The question now is simple. How much have you already left unclaimed? Pause this video. Open myGov. Check your income against the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card threshold. Check when you last submitted a rent certificate. Check whether your asset values still reflect reality. None of it takes long. All of it could matter more than you think. Because if this investigation opened your eyes to something you didn't know was sitting there, waiting, don't just sit on it. In this system, silence doesn't protect you. It costs you. And the 20th of September is closer than it feels.